Hey everybody, we are here getting started with music theory. This is going to be our first lesson of the year. Super excited. We're going to learn some basic rhythmic concepts today. It's not even too much content, not that much to write down, just really easy. We're learning about how music is divided rhythmically so that we can follow along in our sheet music every day. So let's get going. The first thing we need to learn about is the idea of measures and bar lines. So music is divided into measures, and it's these things right here. This is a measure, and every piece of music has measures that it is divided into, and they are divided by things called bar lines. Okay, so we're going to see, and we will often in rehearsal refer to a measure number to tell us where we are, because it'll just get divided into measures. And that's just important that we can reference this measure, or right before the bar line is where something happens. But that's just important for us to be able to reference that and understand how music is sort of divided up. So that's measures and bar lines. And within those measures, we have different types of notes. So we're going to learn about 3 types of notes today. The first one, maybe the most common note, is called a quarter note. And each note gets 1 beat in most music. So in this case, a quarter note gets 1 beat. And you can tell that it's called a quarter note because you need 4 of them to make up a measure, right? You need 4 quarter notes to fill up a whole measure. So 4 quarters equals a whole, just like 4 quarters equals $1, right? So you need 4 quarter notes to fill up a measure, and they each take up 1 beat. So what they're showing you on the bottom here is that we count it. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. Every note gets 1 beat. So I'm just going to keep writing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And those beats just constantly move on in our music. We just keep counting to 4 over and over again. The next type of note right down here is half notes. Now, half notes, you guessed it, make up half of the measure. They're worth 2 beats each. So we have 1, 2. And whenever we have something that takes up more than 1 beat, we put a dash here like this. So you see how they have 1-2 and then 3-4. That's for the half notes. So when we're writing the half notes, we're going to write the counts as 1-2, 3-4, because that's telling us that this note right here takes up beats 1 and 2 connected as one thing. That's why there's the dash between them. So then 1-2, 3-4, 1-2, 3-4. That's it. Nice and easy. So now number 4 here, they're asking us to write in the counts, and then we can clap it. So we'll do that. I'll do that for you here in just a second. So anytime we have a half note, we need to have 2 beats connected with a dash. Anytime we have a quarter note, we just have the 1 beat. So follow with me. We start with a half note. So I'm going to do 1-2. Now I'm on beat 3. So I'm going to do 3, 4. And I don't put a dash there because that's 2 separate notes, right? I have a quarter note and a quarter note. So there's no dash. It's 1-2, but then just 3, 4 because they're 2 separate notes. Then I go 1, 2, and now 3-4 because I have the half note on the back end of the measure. So that time we went beat 1, beat 2, and then 3-4. Then we have 1-2, 3-4 because it's 2 half notes. And then we have 1, no dash, 2, 3-4. So again, if it's a quarter note, we just write the beat number that it's on. If it's on beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, or beat 4. If it's a half note, we have to write 2 of them with a dash in between. That's how that works. Now, last that we're going to learn about today is whole notes. So whole notes, you guessed it, take up the whole measure. So to review, again, whole notes take up the whole measure. Half notes take up half of the measure, and quarter notes take up a quarter of the measure. It all makes sense, right? So that's what we've got going on there. So whole notes, we have to write 1-2-3-4. And at least for right now, that's what it's always going to be because it takes up the whole measure. That's what it'll always be. So we'll write that in on these other measures. Whoops. Sorry, just skipped pages. So we've got 1-2-3-4, 1-2-3-4, 1-2-3-4. So now they're asking us again to just write in the counts here. It works the same way, except now we've got a whole note to deal with. So we're going to write 1-2, 3, 4, because they're quarter notes. Then we have 4 quarter notes in a row. So we just write 1, 2, 3, 4, no dashes. Then we have 1-2, 3-4 because they're half notes, and then 1-2-3-4. And that's it. Super easy. Now we have one more page that we're going to learn today, because the deal is we have those are notes. Whenever we play or sing something, it's written with a note. But sometimes we want to not play or sing for a beat or two. And when that happens, we need a rest. So that's what's on page 2 here. So a rest indicates a beat of silence, indicates purposeful time where we're not making music. I had a teacher, my high school teacher in choir, used to always have like a trick question on a test where she would say, what does a rest mean? And one of the options would be nothing. And that was always wrong, because a rest means silence and it's on purpose, right? That's different than nothing. That's deep, man. I know. So right here, we have all the same notes that we just learned. There are rests that are the same thing, basically, right? So right here, we have, these are quarter notes that we just saw, the filled in notes. And then these guys right here are quarter rests. So they're very weird looking. When I draw them, I usually try and go like this. I do just like a squiggle like that. That's how I draw a quarter rest. If you want to try and get fancy and like make it look exactly right, good for you, but just try to make it like a squiggle. That's what I do. Okay. And then we have a half note and we have a half rest, which a half rest, I always think of it kind of looks like a hat sitting on the third line. Okay. A half rest looks like a hat sitting on the third line, and it's worth 2 beats, 2 beats of rest, 2 beats of silence. Quarter rests are worth 1 beat of silence, just like a quarter note is worth 1 beat of pitch. And then we have a whole note and a whole rest. A whole rest takes up the whole measure, 4 beats in this case, but it can be any amount of beats. It fills up the whole measure. We'll talk about that later. For now, 4 beats. So the thing that can be tricky about the rest is that the half rest and the whole rest look kind of the same. This is the half rest right there. A whole rest is the same thing, but upside down. So I think of a whole rest as like if there was a man walking along the third line, he would fall into the hole because it's on the bottom of the line. That's a different kind of hole, but you get the idea, right? So a half rest is above the line. A whole rest is below the line. So that's what we've got. We've got quarter notes, quarter rests worth 1 beat, half notes, half rests worth 2, and a whole note and a whole rest worth 4. Easy. So now what they've done is they've given us some music, and there should be 4 beats in every measure. So we're going to fill in the missing beats with rests. So in this case, they're all quarter rests. So we're just going to draw them in. So we've got 1, 2, 3, rest, 1, rest, 3, 4, 1, rest on 2, 3, rest on 4, 1, 2, 3, rest on 4. So again, those are just squiggles, right? Then they said the half rests. So here I've got a half rest, again, sitting on the third line is where we're supposed to draw that. Half rest, okay? And then number 4, write your own rhythm on the next 2 lines. So I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to leave a blank for you to do one, and we'll kind of practice this tomorrow in class as well. So if I'm writing a rhythm using all of these notes and rhythms, notes and rests, I would go like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll do like 1 rest, and maybe I'll even do a half rest also. So I'll take up the whole measure, and then I'll do a whole note and a whole rest. So that was easy. Easy, right? You can do them in any combination. You just got to make sure there's 4 beats total in each measure. And then when we write the counts in, we haven't really talked about this, but what we do on the counts for rests is we just put parentheses around the beat if it's a rest. So in this case, I would write 1-2, 3, 4 with no dash because they're quarter notes, separate notes. Then I have 1. Now I have 2 is a quarter rest, but since it's a rest, I put a parentheses around it. And then 3-4, I'm going to put parentheses around also because it's a rest, but 2 beats. And then I have 1-2-3-4, and then I have 1-2-3-4, but with parentheses because it's a rest. Okay, so the big thing that we've learned today, just to recap, is we have 3 kinds of notes. We have quarter notes, half notes and whole notes. Quarter notes get 1 beat, half notes get 2, whole notes get 4, right? And then we have the same kind of rest. We have quarter rests, half rests, and whole rests. Quarter rests get 1, half rests get 2, whole rests get 4. And we write in the counts with a dash if it's more than 1 beat, and parentheses if it's a rest. That's everything for this week. So we'll go over it again tomorrow in class. You're going to nail it. And then we'll just have a short thing for you to do on Thursday. But hope you enjoyed it. Learn about those different types of notes, different types of rests, and we will see you in class tomorrow. Thanks so much.